Good morning, welcome to Nigeria Now, showing on your digital first Pan-African news network. My name is Merciful Ajinamo. And this morning we have a couple of newspapers and analyzing some stories is Adebayo Fajimi. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We begin from the Blueprint newspaper. The big story is presidential ticket. Imposed Jonathan lose 2023 APC North-South coalition warns. Imposed Jonathan lose 2023 APC North-South coalition warns. We have a couple of riders there. The first says it's self-indicting to return ex-president. The second, Osinbajo, Amici, Bakare, Nnamani, 12 others speak forms. And the third, 95 governorship aspirants too. Amosun declares, releases 6-point agenda. And then we have, you've up to June 3rd to conclude primaries. INEC reminds political parties. That's on page 6 of the Blueprint newspaper. What do you make of this headline?
I don't really see all this coming to reality because one, the former president is not a card-carrying member of the party, and looking at the space and the timing of the election, I don't see any reality coming. I don't see any reality coming from that angle. But I don't just know the reason why people are just peddling this rumor and all of that. So and even if it is true, how do you want to justify the candidacy of former president Goodluck Jonathan in the APC? What electoral asset, what contribution has he made to the party? Even though if he joins today it's going to be a big weekend, there are some, they may even give him waiver, but that would be an injustice, to the likes of people who have come out to say, who have been part of the party, since its inception, in 2014. So, but now, telling us that the party is planning to impose a former president Goodluck Jonathan and all of that, I don't see it as a reality. I think people should just stop that and just focus on what really matters.
Yes, and that, of course, is 2023 election issues on page 6 of the Blueprint newspaper. From the very top, we see 2023 PDP buying time on zoning, shifts neck caucus meetings to May 11th. Two riders, no region can go it alone, Diri tells Southerners, and Bala tasks other aspirants on humility. That story is on page 6 of the Blueprint. The lower banner there says electricity consumers to pay more as NERC increases tariff. That's on page 23 of the Blueprint newspaper. Besides that, we see illicit drugs, beware of transactions with Benin Republic, CBN warns banks. That is on page 24 of the Blueprint newspaper. We move over to the Guardian newspaper, and the big story is Buhari in Ebonyi. Igbo leaders demand Southeast presidency, Kano's release. A couple of riders there. Igbo Apex body rolls out VP slot for Southeast. Obi's presidential ambition non-negotiable, says support group. Talk among yourself, Obi Echina urges Southeast aspirant. NUPA says Igbo president will reduce tension in Nigeria. Group urges APC PDP to zone presidency to Southeast. And COSEYL threatens to sue APC PDP if ticket is zoned to North. Now, these are good, big conversations that we're having in Southeast concerning 2023 general elections. And now we have President Buhari in Ebonyi State, and these people are demanding Southeast presidency and Kanu release. What's your take on that?
Well, my sincere take on that, if you look at the contribution of this, of this region, in the electoral process, if you to be candid, you want to say, oh, these people have not really done well, they have not really contributed, so much, in terms of electoral assets, like other regions, but that is not enough for us, to want to say, okay, we want to marginalize them. I think the problem we have as a nation is this sense of marginalization. That and I think that comes down to our the way we play leadership and the politics, because when a particular leader, when a particular person comes or becomes a president, of Nigeria, so you are tied, automatically to your region or to your ethnic.
And there's expectation from them.
Yes. So the question is, are we not Nigerians? Because, I asked myself over and over again that if we are one Nigerian, why all this agitation? Why is it that we cannot have presidents from any part of the country at any point in time. So no, I think the problem is, this sense of marginalization, and we can see it in successive governments, in Nigeria, even in this present administration, even though the present administration is, telling us that, they have done well. But in terms of, federal character, giving people appointments and all of that, have we really done well, for these people? I think these are many other, is what we need to look at as a nation to ensure that, we stand, as a one country under one God. But talking about the release of Nnamdi Kanu, and
Southeast President.
yes, and the Southeast presidency. I think that of Kanu. I think was it not last year that the same issue was posed to the president, and he said, you have asked me a very difficult thing, but I will look into it. I think what they need to do to continue to do is to seek political solution to ensure its release. And I think with time, if they persist enough, they may get what they are seeking for.
That's the big story on the Guardian newspaper. From the very top, we see why Southern politicians scamper for presidential ticket. That story is on page 3. Besides that, INEC restates June 3rd deadline for primaries as Osinbajo, Bakare and Oshun pick nomination forms. The lower banner there says, Nigerians pay more for darkness as government hikes electricity tariff. That story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Of course, we see some stories beside the picture of the day. African Church tasked Buhari military on insecurity. Adeleke accuses Oyetola INEC of plot to rig Osun Giba poll. That is on page 28 of the Guardian newspaper. And now to Daily Trust newspaper. From the very top there on Daily Trust, we see 18 died, 6 missing as Kanu capsizes in Katsina. That's on page 4. And then we see a leader like Yaradua had to find Jonathan remembers late president 12 years after. That story is on page 27. And answering massive recruitment in Kaduna distributes Salah gift. That big story is on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper. The lower banner says federal government telcos head for showdown over tariff hike. Of course, we've seen this news on different newspapers this morning. Now the tariff hike is here to stay. What's your take?
The government still needs to work, because I think the whole responsibility burns on them. The National Association of Telecom Subscribers have also rejected the move that it will not stand, and they are blaming the government. That, see, the problem is that we have over 70 million subscribers who have been bad. They are not able to either not to make call or they cannot receive calls. And if you have that huge amount of people who cannot access the services of telecoms, now what happens? Of course, you can imagine, the profit that will be, that will reduce,
yes.
What they will lose, in that particular scenario. So, and who is going to solve that problem with this issue of NIM and all of that? It is the government. And also, you can also look at it from, from the telecoms angle, that okay, the price of things has gone up and things like that. And in this country, the moment the price of food rises, of course, you should expect that the price of services, producing services, will also increase. So the only factor that can regulate and ensure that things work the way it should work is still the government. So we will just keep to appeal to them to ensure that this does not come at this point in time, because the economy is not working well at this point in time. And if this tariff increases, of course you can imagine what becomes of African Nigerians. So that's why we are appealing to government to rise to the occasion and do the needful for Nigerians.
All right. Of course, that's on the Daily Trust newspaper. We see other newspapers right there. A leader like Yaradua had to find Jonathan remembers late president 12 years after. Of course, Nigerians have always spoken about the former president, late President Umaru Musa Yaradua, and now Jonathan, former president, also is remembering him, who he handed over to. What's your take on this update?
Personally, I think the former president is one of the best presidents Nigeria has had, and I don't know. Perhaps if he had stayed longer, where he may turn to be something else, because like somebody once said that you cannot trust a man with power. But at least with his brief stay, yes, the little time he spent in power, with his 7-point agenda, including food security, food security, security of lives and property, creation of wealth, and the rest like that. And you can also see, you know, from his trajectory when he became when he emerged as governor of Katsina State, and even when he came to presidency, he was the first person who declares his assets as a governor and as a president. And you know, that shows that, you know, he was a man, you know, who wanted to lead by example. And even most of the people we seen declaring assets and all of that today, you know, who among them are very sincere. So with his very brief stay, we can say that, you know, we can say of him that he did all he could, you know, for his dear country. And you know, it's just very unfortunate that we did not, you know, enjoy, you know, his leadership, you know, prowess.
Definitely agree with you on that one. On the Nation newspaper, ACF leaders, South should stop issuing threats over zoning. On the Punch, the big story there is consensus plan on settles APC protesters won against imposition. And Nigerian News Direct says INEC is saying 2023 presidential election deadline for party primaries firm fixed. You can get all the updates on our website, www.tostvnetwork.com. Thank you, Adebayo, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, viewers, who come your way again next Monday. Of course, you can have a wonderful weekend. And don't forget that you should always stay updated on our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at TOS TV Network. My name is Merciful Ajinamo. Have a wonderful weekend.